Hi, my name is Kelly McMahon, and I'm from the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. And I am excited to share with you a slide deck that explains how we work in the GRAD partnership. The purpose of this deck is to introduce you to the coalition of organizations that make up the GRAD partnership, how we've organized ourselves to accomplish our goals, the language that we use to refer to our work, and then share some resources like information about meetings, our agreements, and project deliverables. So first of all, in the GRAD partnership, we often refer to our work by drivers. And what do we mean by that? It comes from using a driver diagram, which is a tool in improvement science that is essentially a theory about how we think we're going to accomplish our aims. In the GRAD partnership, we tend to mainly refer to the primary drivers. In improvement science, you can also articulate the secondary drivers, as well as a set of change ideas that you can test through iterative cycles to know if they work in your context. But overall, what's important to know is that the driver diagram is really just a way that we've organized our work to help us learn our way into achieving our aims. And the primary drivers are the things that we think are the key levers that will help us accomplish those aims. And I'll say more about what our aim is. Where we work in the GRAD partnership is that we are specifically focused on reaching a set of targeted districts. And why these districts? It has to do with the fact that what we're trying to do with the GRAD partnership, which is to scale high quality student success systems. And the reason why we think these success systems matter is because if we can improve the number of students who are on track to graduate, we'll also improve the number of students who are graduating. And unfortunately, high schools are not created equal, which many of us know. And there are a set of districts within which you have high schools that are perpetually and commonly known for not graduating their students on time. And if we move the needle in a set of districts, so approximately 4% of the school districts nationwide, we're actually able to increase outcomes for 50% of the Black and Latinx students who are in high schools that again, perpetually do not graduate students on time. So we're working in these targeted districts. And again, what we're trying to do is to scale high quality on-track systems to 30 to 50 of these districts by 2025. And we're hoping to build the capacity of 30 to 50 intermediaries to implement high quality systems. The drivers that we think will help us accomplish these aims are to build the awareness, build stakeholder awareness and understanding and advocacy of what we mean by a high quality student success system. We want to support the implementation of high quality on-track systems. We want to extend and build the capacity for scaling these systems specifically in key target districts. And then lastly, we want to develop an infrastructure for improving and systematically scaling and having the sustainability of this work so that it moves, so it's not necessarily new, but moves to the new normal and the ways in which high schools operate around the US. We often kind of refer to these through shorthand. So you may hear people talk in terms of driver 1, driver 2, driver 3, and driver 4. And what we mean by those drivers are that, again, driver 1 is about building awareness of what we mean by high quality systems. Driver 2 is developing tools and resources to support the implementation. Driver 3 is building the capability work. And driver 4 is, again, building that infrastructure to kind of sustain and improve this work over time so that we're continuously improving as we go. The GRAD partnership is made up of 9 organizing members that you'll see here on this slide. Hopefully you recognize your home institution there. And the 3 Rural Schools Collaborative, National Center for Learning Disabilities, and Schott Foundation, we also refer to as our affiliated members. These are folks that are really helping us build out our networks and build awareness and advocacy for the work. And each of these organizations have their own networks that are working on building capability as well. The way that we've organized ourselves is that within each one of the drivers, there's a lead organization that's taken the responsibility for making sure that those drivers are on task, that they're having meetings that really matter and helping move the work forward, and that we're on track to doing this work. And so driver 1 is led by the BAR organization, driver 2 is led by the Everyone Graduate Center, driver 3 by AIR, and driver 4 is led by Carnegie. And as the notes sort of suggest, that we all are contributing to all this work, and in the way that oftentimes drivers and theories of improvement work, this work is really interconnected. So you can see that work that's happening in one is influencing hopefully our aims, and there's connections even within and across the drivers. The GRAD partnership, we formed a leadership team. So each one of the core organizing members has participates in a leadership team. And this group is really responsible for, again, making sure that we're on task and that we're on track, that we've organized ourselves in ways that allow us to accomplish this work, and that we are learning across as we're trying to engage in this important endeavor. The GRAD partnership is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So we have a grant from them, and that's why a lot of our work is up till 2025. Even though we think that this is really a 10-year effort, our funding and this grant goes till 2025 with hopefully fingers crossed that there'll be more funding to come. It's important to know that the principal investigator of that grant is Bob Balfance and the Everyone Graduate Center. But all the organizations receive funding to do this work, but it's through subcontracts, with, again, Bob Balfance and the Everyone Graduate Center being the principal investigator of the work. We have a set of advisory members. So one of the first things that we did was we formed an advisory council that is guiding us on this work. And it's really meant to be, while these organizations are not necessarily engaged in trying to realize some of that work across those drivers, these are really valuable partners in helping us make sure that we're being smart about our work. And so this, you can see here the list of our advisory council membership. And then we also have a set of communicating partners. So these are sets of organizations and professional, you can see both professional organizations and otherwise that are, again, helping us expand our reach nationwide. A really important driver is one that we named later in our work, but is so important, which is Driver Zero. And Driver Zero is really responsible for the overall organization of our project, helps take care of the leadership team and staying connected and building relationships with our communicating partners and our advisory council and all of these pieces, speaking with the Gates Foundation and making sure we're staying on track and in good standing with our funders. And that person is Patricia Bolana, who is the project director. So she is the one employee of GRAD Partnership who's carrying a lot, but and without her we would really be lost. Here is an example. There's a different cadence for different meetings. So within Driver 3, there are sets of work and strands of work, including a recruitment squad to help recruit both schools and districts to help expand our networks, but also to a recruitment of intermediaries who were hoping to partner with us and help them build their capacity and capabilities to support the work. And you can see this is just an example of our project calendar, but if you click on the link, you can see these different meetings meet at different times, some again bi-weekly, some weekly, and you'll need to know which meetings you're responsible for. So make sure you ask some questions about which ones you should be attending. Not everyone has to attend all of the meetings, clearly. The types of meetings, we have lots of types of meetings in the GRAD partnership, including there are brown bag meetings, and these are really these are optional meetings that are meant for across all the organizations that are doing this work. This is a chance for GRAD partners to learn together and just to stay in touch with one another about the important work that we're doing. There is a community of practice that is really it's a big tent of sorts to bring in all the folks across the US who are doing on track and early warning systems or student success systems. And this is a chance, there's usually a speaker of some sort, an expert, and these are held monthly. And it is optional. Please spread the word and invite whomever you think would be a good candidate to join our community of practice. They're welcome to join. We have all staff meetings. These are required meetings. And they're across all the drivers, and Patricia leads those. We have driver meetings. So each driver meets at least monthly, but you can see some meet bi-monthly, but Driver 4 meets monthly as an example. And then there are work group meetings, and this is where a bulk of the work happens. So there's different work groups within each one of the drivers, and this is likely where you will be asked to join some meetings. So make sure you know from your supervisor within your organization or whoever has gotten you connected, and then also your driver lead about which work group meetings you should be attending. Our community agreements. So these are the things that we sort of hold ourselves to. We agree that we are a we, not me space. We talk about sharing stories, but as well as airtime. We accept non-closure. As you saw in some of those slides, and I imagine as you're learning, a lot of our work is it is big and is ambiguous and it is ambitious. And with that, it means that sometimes some of the work we may not get to all the answers. And so there's a lot of non-closure that happens, even though we're trying to make our path, but we accept non-closure. We have Chatham House rules because there's so many organizations here together. We want to keep the details in the community, use the ideas, but perhaps maybe you don't share what, I'll give an example. Perhaps, in a meeting, you may learn that Carnegie has a hard time, this is just a fake example, a hard time doing its own PDSAs. Well, we wouldn't necessarily say, well, Carnegie has a hard time doing that. Instead, we would say, PDSAs are really hard. We may have to learn how to do some of those things. We share to learn, and sometimes that is not necessarily the most polished, but in sharing, we learn things that are revealed, and we make room for joy because it's so much more fun doing all this hard, ambitious work when we have fun together. So, all right. For each one of the drivers, there are sets of deliverables, and this is not meant to be overwhelming. Again, we have 3 years to work on this work, hopefully more. But some of the things that each of the drivers are doing. So in building awareness, you can see here what they're trying to do is to understand the field's current work. We did that through a survey in 2020-22. And then they are the lead connection for the GRAD partnership with our communications firm, which is Hatcher. Hatcher Communications is helping us. They are trying to identify and spread the word about spotlight schools. So these are the schools that could be good examples of the different definition of high quality student success systems. And then there's a whole set of things here that you can read on the slide, but these are just some of the things that they're trying to do around building awareness and working on advocacy for student success systems in Driver 1. Driver 2 is working on developing tools and resources for implementing high quality student success systems. And so one of the very first things that we did in 2022 was develop a definition of what we mean by high quality student success systems. And hopefully in your onboarding, you will have access to that definition because it really grounds our work and understanding that there are 4 elements to a high quality student success system, including building relationships, actionable data, the improvement systems within the school that people use to attend to and use the data and try things out to make sure that we're serving students and understanding for whom and under what conditions those things are working. And then a set of mindsets around this work. We know that we need people who are proactive, who are problem solvers and who are collaborative in their work and have a real asset minded towards students and schools and educators. So developing that definition was very important, but there's also another set of tools and guidance documents to be created. Driver 3 is building capability to do this work. And again, it's really thinking about how do we expand our networks, the current networks that are in play within the GRAD partnership. So AIR, Talent Development Secondary, Everyone Graduate Center, Network for College Success, they all have their own networks of people who are working on implementing and improving on-track work. How do we expand those? But then also, how do we recruit new intermediaries and build their capability to support this work going forward? And then Driver 4, which is again building the infrastructure to sustain and improve, is creating a network of networks to support scale and innovation, developing a learning platform to support broad access to learning materials, developing an improvement data set so that we can identify bright spots nationally and learn from the variation in this work, and then developing long-term credentialing aligned to the work in Driver 3. So thinking about how we're building capability, and also Driver 2, the tools and resources. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. If you ever have any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out to leadership team members. You can send me a note at mcmahon@carnegiefoundation.org, but we're glad you're here.